Jerome.
Hey, brother.
Hey, man. Hey, how do you feel about praying in before we start?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I love the Serenity Prayer. I've been using it a lot. It's simple. So there's a we prayer and an I prayer. I'm going to do the I. We could do the we prayer, or I could do the I prayer. I'll just do the I prayer, and you can join me if you'd like, or not. Just God, please grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And thy will, not mine, be done. Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Uh, I think that the thy will, not mine, be done has been interesting because I heard that thy means yours and mine instead of just, I thought it meant your will, your will, but it actually supposedly means your will and like the will of the universe and my will combined. So I've been
Wow.
in, I know, that was a mind blow for me. Like, whoa, okay.
I didn't know that. I learned something new already.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. It made me feel like I could get behind that prayer because I've been hearing it for years. But this one was like, when I heard that, I said, okay, this is interesting. I can get behind that. Yeah. So happy to have you on, man. I've been really appreciating what you're doing. I've been loving your qigong in the mornings. It's just been giving me so much. And the pranic path. Just the idea that we could use the breath to fuel the body on another level came to me when I was like 21, and I'm 40 now, and I just pushed it down, man. I just pushed it away, and so seeing you and Ellie Tom, sharing what you're going through around it, it's just been really it's been helpful because it's just nice to know that I'm not alone in the just exploring and being open about breath and fuel and yeah, so I just appreciate you a lot
Wow, brother.
for
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, brother. And you're a healthy 41.
Yeah, I am healthy. I'm grateful for it, and there's more to go, and that's partly why I like to go to your Qigong classes, and I like partly why I'm on this conversation with you too. I'm healthy, and then
Wow.
I see that there's more to go, and that leads me to my interest talking to you because I'm a body worker, so that's my livelihood. I end up doing a lot of deep muscular relief work on people. Like people will they'll be in pain, and then I'm taking the muscles that are really stiff and hard from years of unmanaged muscle tissue, unmanaged stress and injuries, and then I just melt those muscles down until the nerves can flow, and I take people out of pain. But um, but what's interesting to me is it's a lot of work on my end to do that. And I went to Bali, Jerome, when I was 24, I think 24, maybe 22, on a yoga retreat, and I cut my toe and I did a 3-day water fast. I was reading the Miracle of Fasting by Paul Bragg, and I was thinking, okay, let me. I was reading his book. I got this cut on my toe, and I'm thinking, oh, let me do this fast to see if the toe will heal. And so I did this 3-day water fast. I didn't go to yoga, but the fourth morning I go to yoga class. I hadn't been doing yoga, but I'm doing this 3-day water fast, and my body, I was able to sit upright. My body was so limber, and like my body was open, and I hadn't done anything but just not eat. And it just showed me. And then you see these people like eating these huge breakfasts and coffee, and then going to yoga and working really hard, And I was, not that that's bad, but I noticed it just there was a humorousness to it because I'm working so hard, my digestion's working, I'm eating so much food, and then I'm working so hard to open back up instead of, so something hit for me there. I was like, wow. So it makes me think about the clients that I see and the patients that I see because I see a lot of older people, and I just wonder, if we ate less, if we started eating less, would the muscular pain and tension also um, dissolve? Or like if I, for lack of better words, that's the question, and I already have some answers to that question in my head, because from some experiences I've had. But I just wanted to lean in because I know you have some expertise in this area, with water fasting and how or eating less and shifting the way we think about fueling our body so that the body can be open and in interest of pain relief, you know. That's my
Yeah.
cure. Yeah. So
Well, thank
what?
you, Brother
Yeah.
Christopher. Like you said, you've had your own lived experience. I mean, that's amazing that you've already have that testimony. You've already gone through the test of testing your body and finding out on your own, becoming a scientist in your own laboratory. And even just 3 days, just 3 days to feel that relief, just 3 days to have that release.
That's right.
That's amazing. Yeah.
True. That's true. Yeah. That's true. I did a 12 days of juice fasting at Gabriel Cousins' place in Arizona years ago. I don't know if you know. Do you know Gabriel Cousins and the Tree of Life? Do you know that whole scene? It's
So
gone now, but yeah.
I've heard that there's a book by Gabriel Cousins where he talks about like spiritual nutrition
Yeah. Yeah.
and like the nutrition from other sources other than solid food itself. So is that the same Gabriel Cousins?
That is, and I haven't read that book, but I wasn't aware that he was talking about. I know the title. I'm aware of the title, but I wasn't aware that that's what his slant was. That there's other fuel sources other than food. It's interesting. I haven't read the book, but yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Have you
So
read
you were
that book?
doing it
Yeah.
at his
Yeah.
place?
Okay.
12 days juice?
Yeah, I did 12 days on green juice, and
Wow. Wow, brother.
yeah, and the 12th day, I guess, let's say between the fifth and 12th day, I was in the swimming pool there, and I was moving around in the water, and I felt like my spine was so open, my body was so limber, and it's just crazy to think about like what's normal, Jerome, because like in the qigong, you're creating a culture, right? And I'm interested in environments that nurture a culture of being. So like if we step into if I step into an environment and that environment is about eating less, moving more, breathing more, and then everyone's really limber and like the pain and the stress levels are low, the muscles are relaxed. There's more joy in being in our body because you're stepping into that environment. That was Gabriel Cousins had that for me to a certain level, on a certain level, and people wanted to be there so that they could experience the benefits of being in that environment for themselves.
Right.
So anyway, that's a passion of mine is like what kind of environment can we create to foster optimal well-being? And that's why I show up. I like coming to your classes because even though we're not in the same place, to me, the daily qigong gives me a feeling of relaxation, bringing the
Yeah.
stress down. Yeah,
Yeah. And you're
yeah,
so consistent, brother Chris. You're so consistent. You've been showing up time and time again. I love your commitment. I love your persistence without the resistance. You put in the dedication, and when you put in the dedication, you raise your vibration just off of dedication alone, just off of, putting the time in to have your own alignment with that assignment. I love how we stay on mission together. They say that we may not have it all together, but together we have it all, you know?
I love
So
that.
it's creating that environment, like you said, with the environment, if a flower has trouble growing, you don't try to fix the flower. You change the environment, you switch the soil and it can grow a lot more easier, a lot more effortlessly in a better environment.
Thank you.
So it's very easy for community, for people to grow in the right environment, but sometimes it feels almost impossible in the wrong environment,
Yeah, yeah,
for sure.
yeah. That's been my experience, and that's I do the body work, Jerome, and I'm like doing a lot of one-on-one work with people. But that's the other part of my passion is like where let me get the resources to build an environment and house the individuals
Yeah.
that are setting the standard for optimal wellness,
Hmm.
optimal, emotionally, psychically, physically, financial. I mean, holistically.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that is my number one interest because then we're modeling it with that in place. We begin to start to model healthy life together on Earth in community, and
Right.
and that is what I am interested in.
Yeah. Heaven on earth,
Heaven on Earth. Yeah.
Peace on earth. You know, we used to sing songs in the church. When I used to go to church, we used to sing songs in the church like peace on earth, you know? Peace on earth. Like so many hymns that just talks about that, but we don't have to just talk about it, we can walk about it, you know?
Yeah.
We don't have to just see about it, we can be about it. It's like movement medicine, you know? Movement is medicinal. It has so many medicinal qualities. Movement
Yeah.
medication, movement medicine, just like meditation, that can be medication, and that can be laying a better foundation for the alleviation of a lot of, complications, confrontations, and even constipation, blockages in the body. So, I mean,
Hmm.
there's just so much information that we could be channeling when we're getting ourselves in movement to find that improvement. You know, you're working with your emotions. That's the energy in motion is our emotions. And I
Hmm.
like how you didn't just say mentally, you said psychically, you know,
Mm.
psychically. You want to know how to have a transformation on a psychic level.
Mm.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome because mental health
Yeah.
is everything. You know, the mind,
I
the,
know.
the body cannot survive without the mind. For sure.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because we think about like we want to raise the energy up, but if if I'm not going in a right direction, I'm just or if I'm going in a if I'm going in a destructive path, which is going to have its lessons, so I don't need to necessarily avoid the destruction. I
Right.
can embrace it and like it's going to give me something, but just increasing energy alone, like I could still be evil and have lots of energy, you know? But
Mm-hmm.
so that and that when I think psychically, that's what I think about is like our which where are we slanted? Are we slanted towards doing like divine will, and then like let me have in goodness towards others, or malice, or the opposite?
Right.
Um, I think that's interesting, you know.
Yeah. You know, one of my good friends, Brother Chris, one of my friends, they told me that God is like an acronym for good, orderly direction.
Mm, I love that.
Good,
Good orderly
orderly
direction.
direction, you
Yeah,
know? And that's
yeah,
God flowing through you.
yeah,
You know, that's that presence flowing through you that leads you, that has that gravitational pull towards the good, you
yeah,
know? That it pulls you, it pushes you, it prods you, it gets you, it propels you, to the things that's good for you and away from it repels you from the things that's not good for you at the same time simultaneously. So good
right.
orderly direction, that's the God energy, you
That's
know?
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And on that note, what you're saying, I've been appreciating. I feel like I've been appreciating you and seeing how you're like so visible. You're doing interviews with people. I just don't feel like I just feel I've had so many blockages to being visible, to being of service, just blocks. And I feel like I've been noticing you and seeing like, wow, Jerome is just like he's just connecting and he's visible. And I've just really been appreciating that about you. And it feels like where I want to be too is like selfless and like and just bringing us together.
Wow, wow. Thank you, brother. Thank you for
Yeah.
seeing me in that way. Like, I
Yeah.
appreciate, the way that you see me in that form and fashion because I read a
Hmm.
book called Be Seen. You
Hmm.
know, there's a book by Jen Gottlieb. I saw her on stage with people like David Goggins and
Oh
just a
yeah.
whole
Love
bunch of different
Goggins.
people.
Love
Yeah,
Goggins.
so Jen Gottlieb, she was a
Nice.
lady, she was one of the speakers at this event.
Hmm.
She wrote a book, and the book is called Be Seen.
BC. Where was
And
this at, Jerome? Where was that at?
so this was in San Antonio.
Mm.
This was at one of like those Marriott hotels, I think a JW Marriott, but it was like a big auditorium. It was like a big, it was a nice, nice auditorium.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a ballroom setting, but it was all these chairs and we were just facing the stage and they
Yeah.
were on the stage on this platform just addressing the audience and just
Yeah.
ramping people up like Tony Robbins, like
Hmm.
Tony Robbins,
Hmm.
like letting people know you can do it. Like if I can do it, you can do it. It can be done. Anything is possible. And yeah, David Goggins, of course, he's got that, no excuses attitude, never say die, never quit, quitters never
I
win,
know.
never quit type thing.
I
But
know.
Jen Gottlieb, she really brought it down to earth with just making things practical and just letting people know that hey, it's okay to be seen, it's okay to be heard, it's okay to be here. It's okay. You're already here. Your story has power. There might be a mess, but there's also a message. You know,
Nice.
you might have that test, but now you have the testimony.
Hmm.
So it's like giving is part of living. That's the secret to living
Yeah.
is giving, I feel.
Hmm.
So that was
Hmm.
one of the books that I read, Jen Gottlieb's book,
Amen.
Be Seen.
Nice. Nice.
And then another one is just the Bhagavad Gita. So that's just kind of like a Hindu scripture, and that just taught me about karma yoga and just being in service. And I'm a lot less nervous when I'm in service, and I have a lot more purpose. So
Yeah.
these are some of the things that I adopted for myself.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, with the state of technology, it's so easy, brother Chris. It's so easy,
Yeah.
like you're doing it right now, brother.
Yeah.
You're doing it right now. Like at the
Hmm.
touch of a button, you can touch someone's life. It's that easy today.
True. Yeah, true. I love that. Um, there's so many directions we could go, but practically, if I could come back to like, I'm curious to ask your experience with, because you've been in the conversation of fasting and like lightening up food intake. Have you noticed a relationship inside yourself, like with muscle tension and pain? Like just on a really practical look, because there's so many layers to our being. But I'm dealing with the muscular system all the time, and it's a really big player in people's whether or not they're happy or not happy. From what I see, like debilitating, dysfunctional in their body or functional, muscular system. So I'm curious to know, like, just curious to hear your thoughts on, like pranic living, moving in that direction, lightening up on food intake, and like the muscular system. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jerome?
For sure, for sure. And it's a great question, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Just like yourself when you did that 3-day fast and even the 12-day juice,
Mm-hmm.
when I went days without solid food, I definitely saw a noticeable difference in my body, and
Mm-hmm.
physically, not just emotionally and psychically, as you put it, even spiritually, really. But
Mm-hmm.
physically, I definitely noticed the difference. When you lighten up, more light comes in and you feel light. You feel
Right.
lighter. It's a form of enlightenment. You're enlightened, you
Why do you
know?
feel lighter? Just because you're physically lighter, because you're not ingesting physical mass as much, and then you're feeling lighter. Just that's
Well,
what we're talking about, right?
so physically lighter, of course,
Mm-hmm.
because you're less dense, so
Yeah.
you're more light. So there's less density we have the propensity for density these days. Like we're just really just filling it up. And I was the type
Yeah.
of person that if I wasn't stuffed, if I
Yeah.
wasn't full, if I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, if I
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel complete.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to
I'm
continue
dealing with
to
that.
eat.
I'm
Yeah,
dealing with that.
exactly, exactly. It's a habit,
It's a
we're
habit.
creatures of habit,
Yeah.
and these things come from even childhood, they come
Oh
from,
yeah.
just, sitting down in the kitchen, sitting, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the snacks in between, and you know what I mean. So
Grandparents, great grandparents in Italy, in France, gener- generations of
e-
patterning
exactly.
and of
So
illness. Yeah.
exactly, and we think that it runs in the family, but you know, I
Hmm.
wasn't running in the family, so that's why I was running in my family. We weren't running in the family. So, when it talks about that's physical lightness with less density, but there's also
Hmm.
energetic, the energetic lightness of, well, just bringing it down to the breakdown, there's less for the body to break down.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So if there's less for the body to break down, it has more available. There's more. So there's
Hmm.
more to be
Hmm.
spread around to all of our extremities. There's more to be spread around to be our own remedy. There's more for the body to be healing, and there's more that's revealing. There's more we can actually be feeling. We're more sensitive. We become more sensitive. We become hypersensitive.
And that leads me to addiction because
Okay.
being a pranic or increasing my energy flow, letting go of food could mean that I'm going into pain. I'm going to be descending. I'm going to be feeling trauma, pain in my body, whatever it is. So the ascending sounds so like bright and sunny and pleasurable, but I think that in order to, it seems like in order to really to liberate the body from such heavy density and pain, we have to be willing to go into the pain
Yeah,
and descend. I'm all about the power of descending. I just think I'm not all about it, but I've seen it working in my own life, and I think that we don't touch on it enough in terms of like liberation.
excellent point, Chris.
Yeah,
Excellent point, brother. You know,
yeah,
in order to, yeah, in order for the ascension, there is a descension. You
yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
the ball has to hit the ground before it bounces.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
the tree has to go down, the roots have to go deep before the branches can reach, you
yeah,
know, up to
yeah,
heaven. The branches aren't going to reach up to heaven unless the roots reach down
yeah,
into the
yeah,
crust of the earth. So
yeah,
we do have to go
yeah.
down before we go up. But these
Mm-hmm.
two
Mm-hmm.
motivators, we're talking about these motivators of pleasure and pain,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so there's food, the taste, the texture, the flavor, the color, the savor, like everything, the seasonings, the spices, the sauces, the everything nice, right? Sugar and spice, right? This is pleasure. And so this can
Mm-hmm.
kind of get us away from all the things that are unaddressed, the unhealed trauma, the
Yeah.
unhealed emotions, the things that have been suppressed and not expressed, the
Yeah.
things that lead us into depression
Yeah.
without that expression. So if we're burying
Mm.
all of that
Right.
stuff with food,
Yeah.
things do feel tough. It can feel rough, and we can feel like we're not enough because we're burying all of that
Mm.
stuff. So
Nice.
when we
Nice.
don't let that rise up to the surface,
Mm-hmm.
we don't feel a lot of that purpose when we don't let it rise to the surface, when we don't let it release, the the stress can increase when we're
Mm.
not releasing.
Okay, on that note, the trigger point therapy I do is I'll go into the most tight part of a muscle, and
Mhm.
I'll go down into it, and guess what? It's just a pocket of energy in that's all bound up. It's just it's just emotion, non-material, and people will have, it's very painful in there, and it's almost like, just case in point to what you're saying. I have to go. People will be like, ah, in order to liberate them out of the pain that's stuck, they have to go into the pain. It's
Yeah,
very physically, and
exactly.
doesn't isn't so. However way you do it, whether you let go of food, you're going into pain. You're liberating your body. It's like, I don't know. I guess. Uh,
Yeah. If we avoid the pain in the short run, like if we avoid the pain in the
mm,
short term, we prolong the pain in the long term.
thank you. Yeah.
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 So in
Exactly.
order to get to the pleasure that we're actually seeking,
Hmm.
we need to go into the pain that needs the releasing.
It's
Yeah.
so yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that's where our warriorship is. That's where our integrity is. That's where the liberation is, and I yeah, and that's Goggins style too, because that's kind of his slant in a
Yeah,
way, right?
he's like embrace the suck. That's what he calls it. Embrace
Yeah,
the suck. It's gonna
yeah,
suck.
yeah, and with if I'm doing a 12-day fast with you doing qigong, it's going to be beautiful and it's going to suck.
Yeah.
Man, Jerome, this I saw this. Dr. Gabriel Cousins was doing reversing diabetes with raw food. Okay,
Mm,
and this Native American guy was in the video, and he was dying of diabetes. He was dying, and
mm,
and Gabriel took him on this gourmet raw food diet, all raw food, and after a certain point, it was so uncomfortable. He said, I don't care. He was detoxing so hard,
mm.
and whatever else was going on, whatever pain was there that he wasn't willing to go into, he was like, I'm done, and he went back to his old ways, and he probably died. Isn't that crazy that he chose? Isn't that crazy?
I mean, people will
Isn't
do
that
the same
crazy?
thing, brother Chris. People will do the same with breath work. You know, there's intense
Hmm.
breath work sessions where
Right.
holotropic breathing or Wim Hof breathing,
Hmm.
or even rebirthing. Like there's
Hmm.
breath work that can be so intense for a
Right.
person that it
Right.
brings up so much that has been buried that they just can't continue. They're like, I don't even want to go further. Like this is too much. you know, and that's
Yeah.
just with breathing, you
Yeah. Right.
know, that's just
Right.
inhalation and exhalation, you
Yeah.
know, the respiration. So
Yeah.
breathing can break up a lot.
Mm.
Qigong can break up a lot. You know, you
Right.
see a lot of people, I've done a lot of Qigong
Mm-hmm.
sessions
Mm.
in physical with people
Uh-huh.
in different places, in different spaces. And almost every single time I see people crying, people shedding tears, people
Really?
releasing. Yeah,
Really?
people cry, people get emotional,
Through Qigong?
people doing Qigong, just standing there,
Get out of town.
just stillness, just standing there, holding their body and
Yeah.
just holding the position in that alignment,
Yeah.
and their body responds.
I
You
wonder
know,
if some of that is even gratitude, like tears of joy. I'm like,
you know, sometimes it is, you know,
mm,
just gratitude, and sometimes it's like they don't
mm-hmm.
even know why they're crying. They're just
Yeah.
crying. They just
Right.
have to release. They're just letting it flow, you know,
Yeah.
letting the emotions, surrendering to let it go, you know.
Nice.
Hold on.
And you're creating an environment where that's acceptable.
Right, there's no judgment. Right. There's no
Hmm.
judgment for sure. There's no, you know, no one's gonna shame you, no one's gonna blame you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
Mhm.
I had this one lady who was she had scoliosis, severe scoliotic curve in her lower lumbar, so her lower back, and the muscles along the spine were so tight.
Mhm.
Uh, and and she was like, I have scoliosis. That's my diagnosis. That's what it is. I can't do anything about it. And I'm like, well, let me see if I can. Those muscles are tight. So what happens if I release those muscles? And those muscles are like steel rods. She's over 50. So I get in there and I'm looking for the release point. So I'm going a deeper until I hear a pop. And I never experienced this. It kind of freaked me out because I was like, whoa, what was that? And the next day, her spine was a little bit more straight.
Yeah.
But she had been kicked as a kid in the back. She'd been kicked, so she had this trauma response that was being held in her body,
Mhm.
and she stopped working with me, and I think it was because she didn't want to relive. She didn't want to go back into that pain and release it from her body because it was just too intense. And fine, maybe I know I have not been ready to feel pain, and so. But it's interesting, I just
Yeah.
thought of that.
No, that
Yeah.
same pop, you know, one of my mentors, Eli Tom Elamine, he's had
Yeah.
that pop happen during meditation. I've had that pop happen during Qigong. And
Really.
I remember when I had that pop happen just doing Qigong, just standing
What?
still, and I had a whole Kundalini awakening, you know, Kundalini
Really?
experience with energy just flowing up and down my spine.
Wow.
Just when I heard that pop, and I
Yeah.
wasn't even doing anything. I was just standing like a tree, you know, just
Wow.
standing there. And it was just like pop. I was like, what? You
Where
know,
did you
just
where
my
did you
body.
feel it? Where did you
Yeah,
feel it?
something just clicked.
Where did you feel the pop,
It
Jerome?
was somewhere in my spine, like somewhere in my
Hmm.
back. It just like it
Wow.
just had an adjustment. It was just
Wow.
like a spontaneous alignment, you
Damn.
know? Yeah.
Spontaneous alignment. That's cool. By the way, I'm in Aiken, South Carolina, and I go to Columbia all the time. And I know you're from South Carolina. So
I'm from Columbia. Yeah, I'm from
yeah.
Columbia.
So
Yep.
we'll roll through, Lexington's, Columbia, and I'll be like, Jerome, it's from Jerome's place. I think about
Yeah.
just when we roll through there.
Yeah, that's where I was raised. That's where I was raised over there.
It's so interesting that you took this path because you talk about the South, and I don't know what your family is into, in terms of diet and whatnot. But I think you've touched on a little bit. I think I've heard you talk about, like, it's just so interesting that your interests, like, you're born in a family, and then you have. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your interests with pranic living, are they different than your family? Like, because I know the South is all about the food.
Yeah, yeah, you
You
know,
know.
southern hospitality, down south cooking, down south,
Mm-hmm.
you know, fried everything, fried
Yeah.
this, fried that, fried
Yeah.
this, you know,
Uh-huh.
everything. I mean, Jesus, you know, I'm so
Mm-hmm.
far away today. I'm so far
Mm.
away from my family in terms of
Yeah.
dietary disciplines, methods and modalities. My
Yeah.
mentality, my reality
Yeah.
is far removed from certain family members for sure, but you know the love is still there.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how is it to connect with them? Like, yeah.
Yeah, we're not, I mean, we don't connect on that level. We connect on the level that, I mean, they remember when I was smaller. They remember now, I mean, I'm a little bit taller, but they knew me when I was smaller. You know,
Yeah.
they knew me when I grew up. So I grew up around them. So they, I mean, they know me. And
Sure.
it's not that I'm massively different in my being. Like I'm still Jerome.
Yeah.
I'm just on a different path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
cool because I think I've gotten into that where in the past, like if I was, I don't know, for whatever reason, I've gotten into like against, and I think this is one of the problems with the raw vegan world that I notice is like the judgment. Okay, I am on a higher path. I'm on a higher vibration. I saw it when I was in LA. Like, you'd be walking with, I was walking with this guy, and he was like, he was he was further along on the raw food path, and he was like, I'm just not feeling your vibration. I think I want to separate from you. And I just and I just like, and I like, I've seen Ellie Tom. I feel like I don't know him too well, but it seems like his slant is like really embracing everyone, and like no matter what path you're on, I'm not judging you. I'm not saying I'm not holding I'm better than you, or and that I think that's really I because I've seen myself slip into that, like, oh, like I'm on a better path because I'm not eating right now and you're eating a sandwich. I'm on a better path, or a judgment, or like a separation, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I say different path. You
different
know.
path. But
Yeah.
you
I didn't
different
say
path.
better. Yeah. I
Yeah,
say
that's
different.
right, different.
Different path.
And then you can be then you can be on two different paths, and it's okay. Hey, you're on that path. What's up? How's it going?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean,
Hmm.
you know, Ellie Tom's family, he's from Akron, Ohio. You know,
Yeah.
Akron, Ohio is not, you know, known for the, you know, the most colorful or the most brightest. You know, I mean, there's a lot of pollution, there's a lot of things. So,
Right.
I
Right.
mean, coming from his family in Akron, Ohio, his family's not doing what he's doing, but, you know, they might not be chewing like what he's doing. So,
Hmm.
he still embraces his family and they still embrace him from what I've heard from him. You
Yeah.
know, there's
That's
no
good.
they haven't ostracized him or exiled him. He's not exiled, he's not cast out. He's still with the family, you know.
Yeah.
And you can
Yeah.
still be with the family on Thanksgiving. You can still be with the family on Christmas even if you're not partaking with what other people are. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. Uh, so in terms of like it's yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking about like service, people seeing this and like relating it. I want to relate our conversation back to the body work, and because um I it's just so interesting. This there's my dad went to a psychiatric ward, and he said that they got when he was really depressed when he was younger, and they were doing dance therapy. and and he was dancing, and like it helped, just helped him. And then he noticed there were some people that didn't want to dance. They were just like, I'm not dancing,
Mhm.
and for whatever reason. But I guess it's interesting. I'm kind of going into my head, like philosophizing a little bit, which is maybe it's just okay. But like, um, I guess, uh, I guess, I guess if the people that want to let go of their pain by going into their pain, the people that want to be free or feel free without pain, it could be, not everyone will want that. And I think that I I I guess I'm just feeling like there's something about, like, I'm not here for everybody in a way. Like, I'm not here to maybe touch everyone
Mhm.
physically, or I'm just here. We're just here to affect and be affect, even though we're affecting the whole all the time. I believe that non-materially,
Mhm.
materially, we only have designed to affect a certain amount of people,
Mhm.
and not everyone. And like, and then, and the serenity prayer is cool because it makes me think about like, all right, what am I here to do? And who am I here to affect? And I'm letting go of trying to control the world around me.
Right.
What do you want me to do? And that's it. And then there's serenity in that because I don't have to worry about the things that are out of my control.
Right. Right. The ones who are looking for you will find you. You
That's cool.
know, they'll find
Yeah.
you. All you have to do is shine your light.
Right.
You know, there for some
It's
people,
cool.
when you shine your light, for some people, it's gonna be blinding.
Mm.
You know, and for other people, it's gonna be alluring. It's gonna be radiating. It's gonna be emanating. It's gonna be enticing. It's gonna be inviting. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be delighting to be around you because they see that light within you is the light within them.
Hmm. Hmm.
So for some people, you give them permission. For some people, they don't have that perception. They're not in that direction, so they don't have the reflection. But for other people, they have that connection, you know?
Yeah.
So it really is just you
Yeah.
living your truth, you just being
Yeah.
an embodiment, you being a living example of your truth.
Hmm.
And your truth is what's true for you. It's not what's true for him, what's true for her, but it's true for you. And
Yeah.
somebody's going to resonate, somebody's going to relate to your truth
Right.
because it's
Yeah.
human. It's our humanness to relate to each other on that level instead of trying to be perfect, getting away from perfection and saying,
Hmm.
hey, this is me, this is my reflection, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Um, awesome. Yeah. And it's been in my day to day, Jerome, I'm like helping people one on one, but I can't help but be like I'm always slightly dissatisfied every day because I see where I want to be. I have vision of, you know, I have vision of being in a place where I envision um I guess I envision what I think would be Shambhala. I envision that. And I think that the pranic living, or like eating less, meditating more, doing more qigong, these kind of stress relieving exercises on the body is a tool. These are tools for peace
Mm.
in the body. But it's hard to do it alone, and that having that environment that's supportive for that way of life, so that the healing becomes. I have maybe the clients that I have, if like, let's say we're spending 3 months out of the year doing qigong, meditating in a certain environment. There's a whole bunch of people that are doing that. People just step into the environment and live the lifestyle and get support where they need it. But then they're just healing from being a part of the lifestyle, and that I really am excited about. Is like, step into this environment. The way of life is the therapy. The way of life is the healing, and an environment that houses and nurtures that way of life.
Mm.
I'm passionate about that.
Yeah, you got it. It's impact. I love that that's your passion.
It
Yeah.
really is, and you do that on a micro. You're doing that on a micro. I want to build it I want to build something materially, and then to house that, and then it just feels like the qigong, for example, is is a is an ingredient that I see in that pool.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's just part of the recipe.
Part of the recipe, yeah. And I've been thinking about like feeding, because when I'm doing your qigong class, I actually feel like it's feeding time. This is breakfast.
It
I'm
is.
like I'm bringing the energy in. I'm flowing it through my body. I'm nourishing my body through movement and breath. Is that what you would say I'm doing? That we're doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah. That's why we call it a breath breakfast. You
Breath
know,
breakfast. Yeah.
we call it a laughter lunch. We call it a dance dinner.
Hmm.
We call it conversation cuisine. We call it a music meal. We call it nature nutrition. You know, we
Yeah.
call it a sunset supper. We call it chronic provisions. We call it energy edibles.
Go, Jerome. Go now. Come on. Keep it going. Yeah. Hey, I'm wondering, like, when people step into your environment, like, let's say physically you're doing a qigong class, and someone's got like a tremendous amount of pain, like let's say the muscles in their hip are just super, super tight. Are you doing like qigong will help them to some level get out of the to help them feel better. But what do you see people privately, or do you do body work on people or energy work to help clear stuff like on a that maybe a qigong class isn't affecting
Well,
effectively?
well, actually, they're doing it themselves.
What do you mean?
That's the point. That's the whole idea. So
Hmm.
even just while they're
Hmm.
following along,
Hmm.
they're actually doing that body work. Like their body is working, you know? Their body
Hmm.
is working. It's transforming on a molecular level, on a cellular level, on a cellular level, just a whole complete level. It's holistic, you know? When somebody, one of my favorite things to hear is people with, herniated discs, people with dislocated hips, or people with joints and pains. Like, I had a pain over here, I had a pain in my shoulder, I had a pain in my back, I had a pain in my side, I had a pain and just after the session, they're like, the pain was gone,
You're
you know?
experiencing, that's great to hear. You're experiencing that kind of feedback from what you're doing.
Yeah, they're just like, I
It's
don't
good to
know
hear.
where it went, but the pain was gone. It was like, I had this
Nice.
pain and it was constant, and then it was
Nice.
gone. And I'm like, you
That's
did that.
awesome.
That was you. I
That's
didn't do that.
Yeah, right. I love that. I love hearing that, and I love hearing that. I love hearing that. Do you find are you experiencing limitations like if do you get the conversation where someone's like, hey, the qigong's helped me, but I'm still in I'm a lot of pain in this area in my body. Do you have those conversations, and then you can either refer them or help them on a certain level? You know what I'm saying? Do you have those kinds of
So
conversations?
I've had people tell me that at first it was difficult. At first that some of the postures were a little bit difficult for them.
Yeah.
Give me one moment.
Sure, 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 sure.
Uh, I've had people tell me that sometimes some of the postures were a little bit challenging,
Hmm.
but they stuck in there. They stuck around. And I remember this one lady, she telling me, for instance, her name is Dana, and she's actually coming tonight. We've been doing qigong with each other in the physical every single week
Yeah.
here, every single Tuesday in Austin, Texas.
Nice.
And so she said, not only does she feel better in her body,
Yeah.
Chris,
Yeah.
but she used to be a sugar addict,
Mm.
like a sugarholic. Like heavy on sugars. She needed her sugar every day at high levels.
Mm.
And so since doing qigong, and she's been doing that for years. She's been on sugar like heavily for years.
Like
And
diabetic?
yeah, exactly. So since doing qigong,
Hmm.
in a matter of weeks,
Hmm.
she said she's cut her sugar intake in half. The levels have gone to a safe level. I mean, she feels more stabilized in her body. Her cholesterol's gone down. So many things have gone down, and
Mm.
so much pain is starting to alleviate in
Right.
just the practice. And she's not even
Nice.
doing it every day. Like she's just coming, once a week and just doing it consistently that one
Yeah.
time a week. But when she's in there, she's in there. You know.
That's cool. So even without saying what it's going to help you with, the stepping into the practice is meeting an emotional, physical need.
It's meeting needs for sure.
It's meeting needs for sure.
It's meeting needs, and sometimes it meets needs that we don't even know that we need.
That's what that exactly. So I can come to your class from 11 a.m. Eastern Standard until the end, 11:30, 11:45. What do you recommend? Like, uh, what do you recommend? I like to do qigong in the evening, or like I like to increase the frequency of my practice to experience more benefit in my own body, and But I find time is difficult. I guess. What do you recommend in terms of creating space and time for that? Do you have
Yeah.
any thoughts on that?
You mean just doing qigong in the evening on your own time, just doing your own
Yeah,
session?
because the class is so helpful, because it's like, go to the class and we're in the space for it. But what about, I don't know, what do you do your own qigong by yourself?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
is there
Yeah.
something that inspires you to do that, or do you have a committed time that you do that, or you just go like, I'm feeding now, baby, it's 11 p.m., let's go. What do you do?
Yeah, I go by feeling. I go by feeling for sure. I don't have
Okay,
the
okay,
only set time that I do it is the time that we do it together. That's the only set time.
okay.
That's the only real requirement that I do every day is
Mm-hmm.
showing up, showing up. and being in service at that time when everyone's gathered.
Yeah.
But on your own time, you can do it in the meantime, in between time. You can definitely do it whenever it's clever. Whenever you feel like you need a boost of energy. You need nature's caffeine, as we call it. If you want a natural just boost of energy, or you just want to relax your nervous system, or you're
Right.
just feeling like you want a short meditation. So you can
Right.
do it in any situation, in any location.
Yeah.
Sometimes even standing at the DMV. I've done qigong in the line, wherever you are. It's very practical, and you don't need a whole lot of room. You don't need a whole lot of space. You can
Yeah.
just do it wherever you are. Start where you are, and
Hmm.
let the rest take care of itself. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so we have replays for people who
Hmm.
who need a guided, who like to have a doppelganger, who would like to have somebody guiding them through a session during a follow along. I
Yeah.
have replays, on my YouTube channel, on my Patreon website. I have replays,
Hmm.
other than the standard, what we do together on live stream.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, there's tons of qigong videos. There's so many things you can tap
Sure.
into. But
Right.
at a certain point, you can just allow your body to do what it wants to do, just to let your body flow wherever it wants to go. Just naturally embrace the movement and let that be the improvement. Where does your body naturally want to go, even if it feels a little bit strange? Really find your range, expand it.
Hmm.
You know?
Hello. Hmm.
And when you're expanding, it's less demanding when you're expanding. Yeah.
Nice. Inspiring, and thank you for that. And what came up for me when you were sharing that is identity. Because if I'm identifying as someone who eats 3 meals a day, guess where my energy is going to be spent? It's going to be spent in the kitchen. It's going to be spent cleaning dishes, shopping, you know. But if I'm and this might be jumping the gun a little bit, but if I'm identifying as, hey, I'm fueling my physical body this way, that might be more in, if I'm identifying that way, or then there's more incentive to step into that practice because I'm exploring a shift in identity. And
Right, exactly.
what would you say about that? How important is that, or is that a
Identity,
natural?
yeah.
Yeah.
The subconscious mind is everything. It's
Hmm.
everything. It doesn't really know the difference between reality and what you tell it. Like, what you tell it is your reality. So when you
Hmm.
change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? So with that reframe, with that
Yeah.
restructuring to deprogram to reprogram,
Yeah.
I started to look at Qigong as a form of food, as a form of nourishment.
Hmm. That's helpful
And
to hear. That's helpful to hear that.
yeah, so that's the only way. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to go 14 days without food and water
Mm.
without knowing that I was being fed.
Yeah.
Like I had to
Hmm.
know in my bones, I am receiving nourishment. I'm receiving whatever they call nutrition, whatever they call vitamins, whatever they call minerals, whatever this is. I must be receiving it because I'm still alive.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I'm not
Hmm.
just surviving, I'm thriving. I'm able to do more than I ever could before
Yeah.
without food and water.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
that was the mind blow for me.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
love that.
And that was identity shift.
Uh-huh. So the direct experience shapes it. The direct experience more than anything else will shift the core identity
Yeah.
because then you're having that direct experience. It's
Yeah.
interesting because like I felt it's there's complexity because sometimes like if I'm biochemically off, I've had too much coffee, I've had this food, that food, I'm starting to feel sick, and then my wife will give me some minerals. You should be like, well, have some minerals. And I'll be like, okay, but I don't necessarily need them. But alchemically, because I'm in this, I'll have some minerals, and it'll alchemically balance me out. So and so it's like you can be in the food, like the food mineral world, and like have experience alchemical balancing out. But then at a certain, I guess it's interesting to me to think that at a certain point you can kind of move beyond that, like paradigm, physical biochemical paradigm with minerals and substance, material substance, and kind of evolve into alchemical another layer, like the energy, movement. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Could you speak to that?
Yeah, at any point in time, you can go beyond the physical, you know. You
Mm,
can go beyond the physical to the alchemical, through the biological, I mean, some people go even to the astral, the metaphysical, the energetical, like whatever layer that you want to be living on,
mm.
whatever experience that you want to have, you can shift into that vibration. You can be at that frequency, that rate of vibration. So it's
Interesting.
what you do frequently
Hmm.
becomes your frequency.
What you do frequently becomes your frequency. Yeah.
And it becomes what you frequently see.
Hmm.
Right? When I was at KFC, that was what I would frequently see.
Hmm.
When I was at Popeyes, that was my frequency. When I was at McDonald's every day getting those, egg and cheese McMuffins, right? And when I was getting those McGriddles, when I was getting those, two-piece Tuesdays, when I was getting the Buffalo Wild Wings, when I was getting like all of the stuff, the Chick-fil-A, right? When I
Yeah.
was getting all of that was my frequency
Yeah.
because that's what I would do frequently.
And you're in an environment without any other information, without any knowledge is power. So without any other knowledge or you learn a book is an environment. One of your books it's an environment of knowledge and information and you step into an environment, you can shift your knowledge that way. I'm getting sidetracked. That's awesome. It makes me want to ask you about like norms because I'm an ex-athlete and what was prized was lean muscles and then but where I'm going is like longevity. Oh, I wanted to say I think Tai Chi and Qigong, I like the art of the immortals is how I see it. Art of the immortals. Isn't that I thought you'd appreciate that. You might have even thought of that, but the art of the immortal is Qigong is the art of the immortals. Is that how cool is that?
Yeah,
That's
I
what.
love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Longevity.
longevity.
Longevity for sure.
So it makes me wonder because we prize like bodybuilding and like the bigger you are, you know what. So, but then you look at like if you're really not consuming physically, you're gonna look lighter. You're gonna look and I've seen this conversation and I listened to Jericho Sunfire for years. He said he would start. He said I looked like a skeleton on crack or something. He said when he was really lightening up. And what I'm interested in is like what does our body actually look like? What does our musculature actually look like when there's no inflammation and the arteries are open, the blood vessels are clear? What 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 do we look like?
Yeah.
And that's interesting to me. And so I'm just curious too to note like how has your journey been in like lightening up, looking lighter, relating to the world, relating to yourself? Because I think that the pranic living and like body image I know we've talked about this, but that there's a big factor there, and I fear that well I just think the getting trapped in image and can be a real trap and maybe a block in the process. But so there's a lot there. What do you have to say about all that for yourself? I'm just curious.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you. And this will have to be the last question because we
Yep.
got to get ready for
Yeah.
Qigong in 5 minutes here.
Yeah.
So, we practice what we prioritize,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Is exercise a priority? You know, is working out a priority? Is
Mm-hmm.
walking, is movement a priority? Are calisthenics, a priority? For a lot of my life, sometimes it was a priority, sometimes it wasn't a priority. When it wasn't a priority, I would see it in the mirror. I would look in the mirror and see what the priorities were.
Yeah. What's the priority?
What is the
Mm-hmm.
priority? So it really doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like so I've witnessed people just now. I was at the Texas Fruit Festival here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Now, the Texas Fruit Festival, you got people who are high raw, high fruit, raw
Yeah.
vegan,
Yeah.
vegan. You got people eating cooked. You got people eating raw
Yeah.
for years at a time, decades at a time. You got people on plant-based living. They're only eating plants and veggies. You got people eating fruits. They're frugivore, fruit-based. They're only eating fruit. And there's
Yeah.
people that only eating fruit with muscles. They're sleek. They have a sleek physique. They have muscles. but
Yeah.
they also prioritize exercise,
Mm.
right? They're utilizing that energy. So
Mm.
whereas a person where myself, when I used to be big on the creatine, the whey protein, you got to get your protein. I was big in the protein programming. I had to
Yeah.
get all the pastas and all the starches and the linguinis and the fettuccinis and the angel hair and the spaghetti and like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I also needed a lot of caffeine to give me what I thought was energy
Mm.
to go, to do the pre-workout, to have the Gatorade, to get through that, regimen, to
Yeah.
have the habitual rituals in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I had all that density, the food was my makeup,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to take my energy to another pseudo level. It was like false sense of energy
Yeah.
in
Right.
order to really bust out those reps and bust out those sets to get the physique that I thought that I needed.
It's crazy because
Whereas,
you'll look stronger, but you're actually weaker,
right, and
right?
even if you're physically stronger, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean your health lasts longer.
Thank you. Yeah.
So for me, my health was depleting. A lot of
Yeah.
things were depleting because I was constantly feeding and I was constantly needing,
Yeah.
right? So
Mm.
I was not
Right.
succeeding in the long run, in the
Yes, sir.
long term. If you're looking for longevity, then I wouldn't suggest that. That's not really the way.
And that's going to
But
affect your present moment too. That's going to affect your now too, your now experience. It's longevity, but it's also the quality of your now.
yeah, but with juicing,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
things like fruit, with things like juicing that are, less taxing on the digestive system, there's more energy naturally. You have natural energy. And
Yeah.
with you have qigong and meditation, that's even more natural, like energy in abundance. That's a lot of energy. So if you prioritize exercise,
Mm.
well, great thing because now you have the energy to do it, right? You have the energy to do it. So you can
Mm-hmm.
sculpt your body and shape your body into however you want to look. Ellie
Yeah.
Tom, I've known Ellie Tom for, 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
In the 5, 6 years that I've known him, I've spent a good amount of time. I'm talking hours at a day, like whole days at a time.
Yeah.
In these 6 years that I've known him, never
Mm.
seen him drink, never seen him eat, and he's never had to go to take a break to use the restroom. So he's walking, talking, breathing, laughing, exercising, doing everything that everybody else is doing and more. And
Mm.
he's not eating, he's not drinking, he's not depleting, he's not fatigued, he's not tired, he's wired, right?
Crazy. Yeah. Walking
So,
across Africa.
yeah, and he's got muscles. He can do push
Mm-hmm.
ups with the best of them, he can do pull ups, he can do push ups, he can do all of this
Mm.
stuff. Now, for me, I don't necessarily prioritize all of that. I prioritize this.
Mm. Yeah.
So that might not be my priority. So
Yeah.
that's not my perception. So that's not the reflection,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So if I prioritize writing books and publishing books over
Yeah.
doing push-ups,
Yeah.
then you're going to see that energy is being injected into my priority.
Right.
So that will be the answer that I give to the question because we do have to go. Qigong is in like 1 minute. Yeah, we
Okay.
have to go.
And physically, you feel better now than you ever did. Physically.
I've even felt better. I felt better actually when I was even more into liquids, even more into dry. When I never felt better was when I was with nothing at all. To this day, I've never felt better when I was on nothing. That was bliss.
Thank you,
That
Jerome.
was bliss. Yes.
All
Thank
right,
you.
brother. Thank you, Jerome. Great to connect.
Great brother. Take care.
See you soon. See you at Qigong now.
See you. See
Woo-wee.
you. All right.
Thanks.